Hi everyone and welcome back to the vlog. As many of you that have been following the channel know, we have completed our build, which we refer to as the villa. And I know many of you out there are interested in building in rural Thailand and what are the costs associated with it. And so I'm going to be giving you a detailed cost breakdown of what we spent on this build. And I think that many of you are going to be surprised with the actual costs. I'm going to be breaking it down into three parts: the materials, the worker expenses, or what we call worker fee in Thailand, but this is the labor, and also the finishings and furniture of the final build. This build was a lot easier than our cottage build that we found, but we have had our fair share of trials and tribulations through it. In terms of the design, there was no cost associated because Damo and I did all of the floor plan and design of this. It's not a very complicated build, it's just 2 rooms with an outdoor porch. Our original intended price for this build was 150,000 baht, and that's because we'd previously built the kitchen and it had cost about that, and it was a similar size. What we had failed to take into account is the different grade of steel that we would be using, things like insulation, things like rendering, finishing, which have all pumped up the costs beyond our budgeted amount of 150,000 baht. I know that many of you are interested in building in Thailand. Maybe you're just interested to compare it to the country in which you live, or perhaps you have plans in the future to build your own place in rural Thailand. I can share with you what were the more expensive parts and what were the cheaper parts, some things we were surprised about, and some unexpected expenses that we were hit with along the way. In rural Thailand, usually the builders put the posts up first, the concrete posts, and then they build the steel frame roof afterwards, and the floor comes later. The concrete posts and steel frame of our building for the materials was 17,500 baht, which is around $478, 389 pounds. So that is just for the materials of the initial frame. That's without any of the tiling, flooring, nothing done, just the frame to go in. And the worker fee for them to erect that frame with the concrete posts was 15,200 baht. That's $415 and 338 pounds. The whole structure and steel frame for the roof took around 2 to 3 days for them to get up. The builders on this project have worked super fast. We've been super impressed with them, but as usual, when we built our cottage, we had a huge team, maybe like 5-6 people. On this one, it's mainly just been Damo's uncle, Kun Lung, and he's hired a helper along with him that he has paid a daily rate for. So as is often the case in rural Thailand, you get charged actually per post that you put in, or per square meter of floor that you lay, or per square meter of painting, or per square meter of rendering. This is the usual fee structure. And the project manager usually collects that fee, and then he will pay a daily worker out of that to help him, or at least that's been the case in this build. So after purchasing the tiles, we completed the roof, and we thought that was going to be the end of the story. All the tiles were on nicely, and we were starting the inside of the ceiling. We'd spent quite a bit of money on the materials and the labor costs to do the initial roof, but as some people will remember who have followed this vlog, there was also an issue with some leaking. And because it's the rainy season, we only had a very limited time to fix the issue. So Damo went to a local supplier of a tin roof, and we got a second roof put on, which kind of bumped up our costs a little bit. We'd already spent 21,300 baht, which is $582 or £474 on the initial roof. The worker fee charge for the roof was 7,440 baht, which is $203, £165. But because we had to do this twice and get the tin roof on, we were hit with another bill, but it wasn't too bad. 12,662 baht, $346 or £282 to put on the second roof and make the building waterproof. And from then on, it was kind of plain sailing. We didn't really have too many more hiccups. The builder did hurt his hand at one point and had to take some time off, but it wasn't a huge setback. And then one of the other major costs of the project was the blocks and the walls. And for that, we paid 20,000 baht for all of the blocks, and that's $546 or £445. And the rendering material cost was another 20,000 baht, so that's $546 and £445 again. So that's 40,000 baht for the render and wall materials, along with the worker fee that was 16,400 baht. That's $448 or £365. So actually, the wall and the render was one of the most expensive parts of this project. He also had to bring in a small team of people, 2 or 3 people to help him because he just couldn't get it done on his own. It's quite a big job. There's a lot of surface area. You're doing the outside of the building, the inside of the building. So it really is not an easy job to do for one person. Damo's brother did the electrics for us, the cables for the electrics. We spent around 9,000 baht on cables for electrics plus 2,000 baht on the mains switch. And then Damo's brother charged us 10,000 baht for the electric fee. So that's for fitting in all of the cables, the light switches, the lights. Lucky that we have like builders and people to help within Damo's family. Maybe if you're doing this build yourself, you wouldn't kind of get the mates rates that we got. But yeah, we were quite lucky with that, and same with the cottage as well. Damo's brother did all the electrics. He also works for our little company now, and he does all of the maintenance on the property, so he's very handy to have around, and he's happy because he gets to stay with the kids here instead of his previous job where he had to drive many miles every day and never saw his kids. Now he can stay on site, and he has a position with us with the maintenance. One of the other big expenses was the tiles, which had a combined cost of 32,790 baht, which is $895 or £729. All in all, for the tiling, the worker fee was around 10,000 baht. And that was a special from Damo's uncle. He was very fast that he actually got nearly all of the tiling done within 48 hours. So he worked pretty hard on that one. And I think it's come out very nice. We did incur some other costs along the way as well, because we had the custom made shelf built, which the materials cost around 9,000 baht. And the worker fee that they charged for the shelf was 3,000 baht. And just before we break down the rest of the costs on our new build here, if you enjoy this content and you get something positive from it and you're in the market for a VPN, do use our code below to get probably what is the best deal on the internet for Surfshark VPN. Surfshark is going to protect your privacy online, but more than that, it has a number of useful features such as an ad blocker, a pop-up blocker, a data breach alert, and a malware alert, which are all going to help keep you safe online. If you're bored of your Netflix library back home, you can connect to Surfshark VPN, change your location in the top right-hand corner, and have access to the libraries from the country that you select. Finally, to avoid price discrimination online, use Surfshark VPN to change your location when you're searching for things like flights, hotels, and car rentals to make sure that you're getting the best deal available on the internet and not being discriminated against in terms of price. Check out our link in the description and pinned comment and use code word BAMBOO to get yourself 4 months extra free and an exclusive Surfshark discount. And if it doesn't work out for you, it's a money back guarantee, probably one of the best deals on a VPN you're going to find online. We bought some reclaimed wood for the desk at the price of 3,000 baht for 3 pieces. These made up the bed and the desk, of which the builders charged another 3,000 baht for the worker fee to put all of that together, including the steel work that holds the bed and the desk together. And for those that asked about the type of wood for the desk, this wood actually is not teak. It is saman, which is known as the rain tree or East Indian walnut. As far as we understand, that is what the wood is. And obviously when it's sanded down and it's lacquered. We use a lacquer on it. It comes out really nicely, nice and shiny. You can see all the grains in it. We had this in our cottage as well, and so it's made a brilliant, nice, large desk, which is an important workspace for both me and for Damo. And not only that, we got a third piece which did the headboard of the bed very well, which makes the total cost of this bed finished around 3,500 baht. Not to mention we were able to put in a little house for Alfie under the desk. The builders just added this as part of the desk fee. It took him about 2 minutes to build the wall there and do a bit of render on it. So I'm a big believer that if you've got the imagination, it's better sometimes to have the furniture custom built in Thailand rather than buying flat back furniture which might fall apart. I think there's a lot to be said for building strong built-in furniture that's going to last for a very long time, made from steel and wood. And the worker fee for the painting was around 15,000 baht. That's to paint it all white inside and out, and that's 2 coats. We had some other expenses such as the specialist wallpaper, obviously lighting. We had a window put in the office area. For the cactus stands, Damo's brother charges 500 baht per stand, plus the amount for the steel is probably another 900 baht. It took him about 3 to 4 hours for him to put these together. More costs on paints, concretes for our outdoor paths, and then all of the worker fees that were involved in this. In total, our material costs for this build was 225,000 baht, which was $6,301 or 4,951 pounds. That was for the majority of the materials that took up this whole build, and that excludes all of our furnishings. The worker fees for the whole build, which includes the electrics, the tiling, ceiling, floor, the desk, all of the custom work that we had done with the flower beds, was 72,330 baht, which is $1,975 or 1,608 pounds. Finally, the furnishings inside the building, we added things like the stainless steel tables in the storeroom, packing room, which came to around 8,200 baht. This is one of the more expensive things in that room, as well as the custom made shelf. In the main room you also have the air conditioner, 18,000 watt, that was around 24,000 baht. This is a wind-free aircon, so it doesn't have to blow directly. It's got lots of little pores in it that allow the air to circulate without blowing through the air conditioner, and it also has a built-in filter. There were numerous other little furniture expenses such as the TV stand and the blinds, bedding, things like that. And in total on furniture we spent 45,735 baht, which is $1,249 and 1,017 pounds. So we started with a budget of 150,000 baht, which I think was way too conservative for what we actually wanted to do, and we ended up spending 343,116 Thai baht, which is $9,373 or 7,630 pounds, which is obviously double our intended budget, but we feel like we got really good value for money. If we were to do this anywhere else, including many places in Thailand, we don't think we could have got the same building for this particular price, including all of the furnishings. And we are really, really happy with the end result and don't mind that we went over budget. We think that actually this is really, really good value. If you deduct the furnishings and just take into account the material costs and the worker fee costs, the total was 297,381 baht, which is around 8,120 US or 6,600 pounds. So that's just for the building, the structure and the worker fee, not including any of the furniture or the specialist things that we had done for this particular build, which I think most people watching are going to think is really good value for money. Just as a little reminder, our cottage cost was around 671,000 baht, which is $18,000, 14,000 pounds. So we spent just about half of what the cottage cost. The cottage, of course, had a bathroom built and a upstairs balcony and a lot of different extras, whereas this is just kind of one room. But the price is about half the price of our cottage. For those that didn't know, there is actually a toilet just around the corner from here. Maybe I didn't show it in my presentation when I showed you the finished result, but just around the corner next to the kitchen, there's a toilet there with a hot shower as well. So you don't have to walk far to get to the toilet. There are a few people that asked, what about the toilet? This cost doesn't include any of the beer, M150, or the final tip to the builders. That you can decide at your own discretion of how much to give. We think we probably got the worker fee cheaper with it being Damo's uncle and Damo's brother. You know, they didn't add anything extra on where you may get some additional costs. They also didn't bring in any extra people, as maybe usually is the case on many builds in Thailand. I'd say this is a super budget build and we're really happy with the finished result, the quality of the finished result. I think it would have cost us also a lot more if we'd hired an architect or we'd hired a designer to come in and design for us. We've designed everything ourselves and the layout ourselves, so we saved a lot of the cost there, and buying our own materials is always going to save costs. So we're super happy with the finished result. An important thing to note here, we have this functional room for our Lazada shop. We're selling a lot of honey now and ceremonial cacao all around Thailand, different powders such as kale powder, beetroot powder, kai, many different types of powders, cacao nibs. We have quite a large selection of products, and so we needed a packing room. These products are produced in different areas of Thailand and they come here as a kind of a centralized warehouse where we pack them ourselves and ship them off via Lazada and Shopee. So we've got a lot of people that buy from us all around Thailand independently of YouTube. A lot of our customers didn't know anything about us having YouTube, so that's been a real pleasure to start that business. This build therefore is very important in the future for the family and going forward financially, that sort of thing. And so I believe that what we've actually spent is going to pay itself off within your standard ROI for a build. A commercial build would be about 2.5 years, and for sure it'll pay itself off within 2.5 years if we amortize this cost over that period. And so you could treat it more as an investment than an expense. That's what we do, and so far so good. I'll also mention as well, with the insulation and lack of windows in the place stays very, very cold, and the compressor is not working very hard on the air conditioner. So we're really happy with that as well. So it should save on energy expenses as well, having that extra insulation and not too many windows in the building. And also putting the holes in the wall from the bedroom to the packing room, and therefore not having to have multiple air conditioners. I think that's going to save in the long run. So thanks for joining us on this vlog, guys. We appreciate your support. As ever, if you're in the market for a VPN, check out the link below. And if you want to check out our Lazada shop, get yourself some ceremonial cacao and honey. If you're based in Thailand, we have some bestsellers available there at our shop. Thanks for subscribing, liking the content, and being part of our journey, guys. We feel like we got friends all around the world, and we really appreciate it. Take care.